Now, in your book, you talk about three different kinds of wildernesses.
Hmm.
Is there a different approach that disciple makers should take to navigate those different kinds of wilderness?
Yeah. Well, quickly, those three kinds are like midbar, which is the Hebrew word for it's not hard desert. It's kind of desert you can survive in, and then Sia, which is desert you can survive in if you have help, and then Yashimon, which is desert you can't survive in. And all of the Bible between Genesis chapter 2, where we're in the Garden of Eden, and Revelation 21, where we have New Jerusalem, there's no more tears, no more sin, no more crying anymore, everything's restored. Everything in between is wilderness. That's the metaphor of the Bible and the reality of life. And so, Midbar, there are different lessons in different sections of the wilderness. So Midbar is like our normal. We don't even sometimes recognize we're in the wilderness when we're in Midbar. And so there we're discipling toward learning to depend on God even when we don't think we need to.
That's that proactive
Yeah,
discipleship you were talking about.
it is.
Yeah.
It's that we're content. We think we got this figured out kind of thing. We sort of forget that we're in a wilderness. And so teaching, equipping, demonstrating dependence on God, even when we think we can handle it. Sia is a little bit different. That's a deeper level of wilderness, and it's you're not going to survive it if you don't have help from other people. So what we teach there, what we demonstrate there, what we have to think about there is what it means to be in a community and to receive help from people. A lot of people have a difficult time reaching out, receiving help, explaining the situations and circumstances they're in. A lot of people don't even have a person in their life that they would say, hey, this is my go-to call when I'm in a difficult situation. In Sia, you have to have community, or you're gonna die in the wilderness. I mean, emotionally, physically, spiritually, is tough. And then Yashimon is desert you can't survive in, and the lessons that you learn there are excruciatingly beautiful. Is probably how I would describe that. Like, you can't live in Yashimon. I take groups hiking in Israel and Egypt and Jordan once or twice a year, and we go through these different sections. And in Yashimon, we carry in water and all that stuff, but I know I have 4 hours before our people start dehydrating. And so I get them in, we teach the lessons, we get them out. I'm watching the clock because I know we're going to run out of water. They're going to start dehydrating, and the weakest go first, that kind of thing. So it's the same in life. You can't survive it very long when it's like that. And what we see in the scriptures is in Yashimon, we have the greatest miracles of God. So like when the children of Israel are in Yashimon, they get water from a rock, they get manna from heaven, their shoes don't wear out. I mean, it's amazing miracles in the wilderness. So when we talk about like living in that depth of suffering, difficulty caused by personal sin or the sins of other people that wound us, or just life circumstance that is terrible, we learn to depend on God for miracles because we realize in that moment we're utterly dependent. Everybody realizes that they need some help greater than themselves when they're in Yashimon, Christian or non-Christian. You know you need help. And so that's the lesson. So discipling in the midst of those, I'm thinking about discipleship in Midbar. But when I get to Sia, I'm thinking about how do I get help? And where's my hope for making through this as a father, a husband, and how do I lead my family toward that help and hope? And Yashimon, I'm not thinking about how do I disciple my kids in this moment. I'm thinking about how do we survive this war in the wilderness that's going on. And we're learning in that moment to cry out to God in utter dependence.
Brian, you know who's listening to this.
Mm-hmm.
We have church leaders, we have parents, we have grandparents and aunts and uncles. No doubt we have people who are wandering in a wilderness right now. Maybe someone who's been there for a long time and maybe something that's new. What can you just lean into them? I mean, pastor to them,
Hmm.
maybe just leaning in as a friend and saying, hey, let me encourage you in this
Yeah.
moment. What can you say to that person?
Yep. Well, I mean, no doubt everybody goes through stuff. Everybody has their own stuff. And some people suffer more than others for whatever reason. They just do. And sometimes you may feel like there is no hope. You know, I felt like that. Um, one night I was laying in my driveway, just kind of in the fetal position, looking up at the sky and crying out to God. And what I found in that moment, and what I found in the days to follow, was that Jesus is really good at just meeting you right where you are. And the practical advice I would give is don't, as much as you will be maybe mad or hurt and wondering where God is, don't stop pursuing him in the midst of that. Because actually the pursuit of God that's going to lead you out of that wilderness. And then the second piece of counsel I would give to anyone, and this is not me as a pastor, this is me as a parent, okay? Do not be afraid to say, I need help. Do not be afraid to out your spouse or one of your kids to get help for them and for your entire family. Don't be afraid of professionals and pastors and other people that could really, really help.